We are so excited to welcome Heidi D'Amelio to the podcast today. Before her family became a household name, Heidi was living what many would call a normal life, a stay-at-home mom in Connecticut raising two beautiful daughters, supporting her husband's business, and juggling the everyday chaos of family life. Then, almost overnight, everything changed. Her daughter Charli started posting dance videos on TikTok, and they went viral. What began as a few fun clips quickly snowballed into millions and millions of followers, brand deals, red carpets, a reality show, and a brand new life in LA. Suddenly, the D'Amelios weren't just a family, they were famous. And Heidi, she went from behind the scenes to front and center, navigating life and motherhood in the spotlight. And the question so many moms quietly ask themselves, who am I now? I met Heidi a few weeks ago at a women's dinner that I hosted, where she so openly shared about the identity shifts she experienced and what it looked like to rediscover herself beyond being mom. Her honesty really stuck with me, and I knew we had to bring this conversation to the podcast. So Heidi, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm so excited. I went to that dinner and that we met, and now I have two new friends.
No, it was such a beautiful dinner. I don't like to have surface level conversations.
Never.
And Emma was like, okay, let's go around the room. We'll say like who we are, what we do. And I was like, and something that you're struggling with. Because I really think, especially in a group of women that you may not know, it really humanizes people when you can see that they're struggling with something too. And then hopefully we can all help each other and support each other. But we kind of need to go beyond surface level in order to get to that.
That was amazing. It was instantly, everyone was vulnerable and on the same like level of like, here.
Yes.
Like, okay, now this could get good.
Yes.
So
and now we can go deep. And I really believe
Yeah.
that's the way that you can create deep relationships. If you're always having surface level conversation, it's hard to like get deep with someone. And we don't have time for that. We're busy moms.
Absolutely.
100%. And I feel like in LA too, like everyone's talking about who they know or what they do. And as moms, we have a lot of conversations on this podcast, especially moms who pause their careers to be stay-at-home moms. They're always nervous. What do I say when I go to a dinner? What do I do? What defines me? So it's really amazing when you can kind of get to the core that we're all just human at the end of the day, which I absolutely love. Okay, so let's take it back. When you were a stay-at-home mom raising two daughters in Connecticut, what was life like back in that season before all the virality?
It was just kind of the same thing every other family was doing. My husband, Mark, he's an entrepreneur his whole career. And so he was always present in the house. He worked from home. He had a showroom in New York City, but worked from home. So we were a unit. It was the four of us. We were at the field hockey games and, the performances and dance competitions, BMX. Like we rolled as a team. And it was, staying on top of the schedule and who needs to eat what and food prep. And, Mark was building his businesses, and it was just like it's just so everything everybody else was doing,
like wholesome. Like it was so like.
And my oldest had gotten into college, so this was our last summer as a family. So I was like prioritizing family dinners, which is hard because Charli would be in dance till so late. So I'm like, we're going to eat late. That's what we're doing. And so just really taking that last summer to connect as a family. We were doing, dedicated activities together, go play softball or just random things. And it was so nice at a time where your kids are just kind of checked out doing their own thing, that take these moments, because I think for all the years leading up to that, it was chaotic. High school kids it's just chaotic, and just trying to keep everybody where they need to be. Dixie was driving, so she was driving Charli a lot, and their relationship started to grow in a different way, which was really nice. And I don't know, we were just always together. Like we did things together. We go to the city, we go to concerts, but at the same time, they had their own lives and they would do things a lot together. They went to a small school, and when there were events, the girls would go together, which made Mark and I feel so good. So that was kind of our life before.
And this is 2020. Well, this was right before 2019. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So my daughter was going into her senior year, Dixie, and Charli was going into her 10th grade year.
Got it.
So you just thought this was the summer maybe before college, not the summer before all this would happen.
I made them do self-defense classes. Charli was starting to go into New York City to take dance classes. Dixie was going off to college. I'm like, no, we got to get this in. Got to know how protect yourselves. Like that was me. I was very organized as far as getting the things that I felt I needed to provide to them as young women for when they're out in the world. Like that was important to me. We've got to make this happen. I never wanted to launch them without them feeling like they could handle themselves. And that was hard, getting them to, I feel like I talk about this a lot, like getting people to trust themselves, especially young people, but even moms. I mean, I can't even imagine having toddlers with the internet because I didn't have it like that. And so you just had to trust your gut. And I have a big family. I have 3 older sisters. So I had a lot of places to lean. My sister-in-law had her son right before Dixie was born. And so I was able to lean on that and their personal experiences from people I knew, which was nice. I think there's so much information out there. You forget to trust your instincts. And I can't imagine that.
Actually, I talk about this all the time. I find there's just like so much noise right now. There's opinions, there's noise, there's social media, there's ChatGPT, there's everything. And you're always trying to like look for more information to solve the problem instead of like tuning it out and leaning into your own intuition. I do think it's really hard. I mean, now we're second-time moms, but the first time around, I think it was much harder to find your voice as a mom.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, I hope you guys trust yourselves because people were mothers long before the internet and they figured it out. And Mark was really always great about that. Just like, women have been doing this forever. Like my mom he would say like, my mom didn't know, but she figured it out. And grew up in a loving home and she did the best she could. And that's all you can do. Like, so he really helped me with that from a husband perspective, a dad perspective, like trust yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes we just have to strip back to the basics. Yeah. So how did you make your kids so close? Because I really think they have a beautiful relationship. And I've always wanted to understand from a mom's perspective how you get your kids to love each other and want to hang out with each other from a young age.
I don't know that I did that. And they definitely went through periods. Dixie's very protective older sister. But Charli was a spark. So she had a lot going on and she was like in the room making things happen, but at the same time was very shy. So Dixie was really good at in those moments where she needed a little protecting, like, come on, I got you. And the moments where she was just like shining, Dixie was like, that's my sister. Aww. But for the most part, Charli grew up and in the town we lived in, Dixie's little sister. Dixie was modeling and sports and whatever. And Charli was a dancer. Dixie also did theater she started in like Mommy and Me at 2. So she did theater up until high school. And when you're a competition dancer, you're going out of your town to do these things. Everything Dixie was doing was more in town. So I feel like that played a little bit into it. So she was Dixie's little sister. And then when Dixie went to middle school, they weren't in school again together until Charli was in 8th and Dixie was in 10th. It was a small school and they moved schools. So it was all under one kind of roof. And so, but prior to that, when they weren't in the same schools, they weren't close. Like their relation, they were just doing their own thing. And the thing was, I feel like that's such a hard time for kids. Middle school Mark and I would say, why aren't they leaning on each other? They're both going through similar things separately. Like you're sharing a wall, just get together, but I don't know. So they weren't close and then they were, and it was good. So I think we gave them the space to figure it out and always hoping they'd come back to each other, and they did.
And I feel like it sounds like you really leaned into their unique talents versus comparing them. And I think that's where a lot of there's sibling rivalry can come out when parents compare the kids. But I feel like it sounds like you and Mark really celebrated each of their talents so that when they were able to thrive in their own way, but eventually when they were a little more mature and a little older, past those middle school years, they were able to kind of lean on each other and not feel any resentment towards each other.
I think so. I think outside voices made it hard for them not to feel that. I mean, people prior to the internet, like not everybody has good things to say, and they were vocal. And so I mean, it was part of the reason we moved schools for them. But yeah, it wasn't pretty for Charli. Some of the things people would say about her, about comparing the two of them in our town. I think there was probably some stuff there. And maybe that was part of the reason they weren't close. But when they did mature, they were like, oh, that's just those people saying that. Like, I don't feel that way. And so I don't know, it just happened and it clicked, but
it's crazy how like you're talking about blocking out the noise in that middle school period. And then now look at them, they really have to block out the noise because they're in such spotlight, right? So you probably actually helped them with the tools back then, foreshadowing to now. Exactly.
We did not know what was
so
ahead.
Tell us what happened. It's 2020, right? Is it
2019.
2019. Tell us what happened.
Summer of 2019. TikTok is very new. Charli's friends were all posting on the app and she was like the dancer of the group. So they would ask her to learn the dances and teach them. And so sometimes she'd be in their videos, sometimes not. She didn't even have an account. And then she ended up starting an account, I think maybe in May of 2019, April, May. And then we were about to walk out the door I was bringing her to a dance intensive. So it's about almost a 2-hour drive. And then the intensive was, I think, 3 hours. And so she was like, oh, let me just record this real quick. So she just does this duet and we hop in the car and we head out and we're chit-chatting and she's like, oh, this video is getting a lot of views. And I was like how many? She's like 1,000. And then she was 5,000, 10,000. As we're driving this 2-hour drive, it's going bananas. So we get there, phones in the whatever, locker room, whatever. And she goes into the dance class and she came out and she had hundreds of thousands of views. And she was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do? And she's like, well, what do you do now? The whole ride back, it's just ticking up and up. The views are insane. It was a duet of a woman that would kind of make simple dances so everybody could do. And she just did that. It was like 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it was nothing. And so her following started going crazy. And she kept saying, what do I do now? I said, well, if you're just having fun posting videos, just do that. Like things like that happen, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I knew social media, I was on it, and I would hear about those things, but I mean, what are the odds? And then next video she posted viral. Every single one after that went viral. So this kind of became, as I was saying before, we would have dedicated like family dinners every night. And that was the topic of conversation. Meanwhile, Dixie, who's a senior in high school. So this is July. And then they go back to school August and it's getting crazy. So Dixie's mortified. Charli, like at the time, I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but nobody wanted to admit they were on TikTok. It was embarrassing. Nobody wanted to admit. And the people who were posting were, as they would say, cringe. And so now Dixie's a senior and her little sister is not only posting, she's like getting tons of views, tons of comments, and tons of followers. And she's just like, I can't. So she was like, yeah, if you ever hit 1 million followers, I'll get on the app. Meanwhile, like everyone else at the time, she had an account, user, blah, 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 whatever, like all these numbers, Dixie. And she was on it. Like everybody was on it watching, but nobody wanted to post. Yeah. So that was July, October 30th, she hit 1 million. Mm-hmm. So they decided to do this video. They dressed exactly alike. Their hair was the same. And so they went bananas because people thought she was a twin. And Dixie still didn't have her name. And Charli's like, you should probably change and get your name and somebody might take it. And she didn't know her this is typical Dixie. Like, I don't know my password. Like, we were in the basement of our house in Connecticut. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was so chaotic. And then she got her name and then she started like blowing up. And it got to, they were gaining 1 million followers a day, both of them.
Oh my gosh.
It was just wild. But like at the time, they were having fun. They were doing these dance videos. It was fun. TikTok was fun and not like
so serious.
Yeah.
So how did you know, okay, this isn't just a moment, like this is going to change their lives. Like, what point did you guys say, we need to really take this seriously?
Well, so, I mean, at the time, you could go live if you were any age. And so they would like, I'm going to go make $2,000. I'll be right back. They each go in their rooms, go in live, come out 15 minutes later, and they're like, okay. Mark's like, stop doing that. We need to pay taxes on that. Where is that money going? Like, we didn't even know. And so we're learning, oh, you have to have a PayPal account. They don't have PayPal accounts. Charli's 15. It was like, stop doing that. We just kept saying stop because it was adding up quickly. And so, and then somebody reached out to Charli to do, she's like, Mom, somebody reached out. They wanted to pay me to do a dance to their artist song. I was like, Char, nobody's paying you to dance to a song on an app. That's crazy. And if he wants to talk to anybody, he could talk to me. Which is so funny because I always like pass those things off to Mark, and because I thought it was fake. And then he like emailed me seconds later because she had messaged him my number and my email address. And I was like, so I go deep dive. I'm like, who is this talking to my daughter? It's like, oh, he's actually as an artist. And so she made like $75 and she was so excited. So so that's how it started. But again, the app wasn't evolved. People weren't doing brand deals. Like it was nothing. It was just audios. And that became a thing. Then they wanted Dixie in and they started doing a lot of, it was just audio deals. And I think the shift happened when people were coming to us, I want to manage them, or can we get them on a reality show? And I mean, Mark and I we were definitely monitoring this whole thing. It was so wild. So, and Mark has, like, he's in the clothing business. So people were talking to them about doing merch. And so he reached out to some people in that business, in that world, and had a lot of conversations and just trying to educate ourselves. But we said no to literally everything because we didn't want them to agree to anything that could mess up things
down the line,
whether they want to do this or not. So we just said a lot of no's. And someone reached out from Connecticut and she was a manager. And so she was like, I know this is probably insane for you guys. I'd love to help you guys like work through this. And she was great. And so so that was helpful. And then we got a lawyer. Then we got a business manager, and then just sort of like putting people around that we thought would help because Mark knows business, but he didn't know that business. So taking it slow at a time where things were going a million miles an hour.
How did that shift in your family dynamics? Like, did you feel different as how you were mothering them because of all of this?
It was just fun for a really not long time, but a nice chunk of time. It was all just fun. And Mark and I got on the app and we were all doing videos together. And it was so weird because we were so much just the same. It was just eyes on us. And so nothing really felt different. And then when we would go out, people started to recognize Charli and then Dixie and then all of us. So that was a shift. But when things started to get ugly on the internet, they loved them, but then wait a minute, I think we hate them. That's when I feel, they're still in school. They're still like, got to take your, study and like clean your room and do your chores. Like you still have to live your life. But at the same time, like, okay, we got to give them some grace. There's just so much coming at them at the same time. And then as that progressed, there was just waves of hate and like narratives. And in that time, Mark and I are trying to keep them on track as young women in school, doing all the things, but we have to give them a break because that's so much to carry, all of these voices in the comments. So we're definitely gave them space to just process, I guess, and weren't so on top of like, okay, you still have to get all your things done. But it was hard. We were like, are we going to abandon being parents because they blew up on the internet? No, we're never going to do that. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. We just did the best we could, and it was situation by situation. And sometimes they would get hit with a wave and they would handle it beautifully and like, that's crazy. That's not who I am. And then sometimes it really knock them down.
It's interesting because it's not like you could have looked to people who had gone before you, because I feel like this was like so new for a family to just like completely blow up. TikTok was new. Everything was new. So you were kind of treading the waters solo. And I love your relationship with Mark, and I want to dive into that a little more because like it's so beautiful. Like, how long have you been together now?
We've been married 25 years.
25 years. Like, and to go through something like that together and to be aligned and on the same page is really hard. And I just think like once you throw kids in the mix in a relationship, it's already hard. And then throwing that in is extreme.
Yeah.
So like, how are you always on the same page? Like, and what are some things that you use to like foster your relationship?
Mark is a big, I think the way he processes things is he likes to talk through it. And I am a good listener. So I would just listen and then I'll ask questions or like, okay, if this is the worst case scenario, like, what do you think about that? And so we just kind of do a lot of that. And then the four of us as a family, we just talked through everything. We were constantly checking in, talking through how are we feeling? We can shut this down. You know, and there was like parts of it. I just remembering, like we were getting swatted in the middle of the night, and it's you can't wrap your head around that. We had cops at our house that were because somebody kept calling us and telling us these horrible things, and so like FBI, like it was crazy. It was crazy. So it's trying to be a parent, stay connected as a family. They knew, I mean, there was no getting around protecting them from that stuff happening, you know? So it wasn't a decision like we got to stay strong to keep this together. We just continued to do what we always did because that was working. We were connected. We were aligned. We were talking through everything. We were doing the best that all of us could with the information we knew at that point in our lives. And, you know, it wasn't like, hey, we need to stay aligned for this, that. It's just the way it was. I don't know. Mark and I we're just like my mom and dad were. My dad worked from home and my mom and dad we're always together. Always have been, like since the day we met. And I love that. I feel like I couldn't imagine like if he was like out the door to work every day or if I was out the door, you know, and you don't see each other all day. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, different dynamic.
I love that though, because, and I watched episodes of the show and I also read some interviews, and what I loved and your family's approach to the whole fame situation was you always gave your kids an out. Like, you don't have to do this. And I think where fame can mess up a lot of family dynamics and children is the pressure from the parents and their worthiness being so tied to the success. And it seems like you were like, you guys are obviously loved no matter what you do. This is completely a choice, which I think is amazing because you supported them, but you also didn't push them places that they didn't want to go.
Yeah. And we said this all along. If somebody said, this is over, go back to your life before, we'd all be okay with that. Like we had a great life. You know, Mark still has his same job he had for years. And so we never needed their money. We never took any of their money. It didn't work like that. And we did things as a family where that money went together to pay for things. But for the most part, you know, we don't even have access to their money. Like that was never wanted that. Like Mark and I were fine. And, you know, I think there's just so many bad stories out there that people assume like, oh, parents or whatever. But it's just, so I think that girls knowing that knew that was never a part of any of this, you know? So.
Okay. So fast forward today, because I want to focus on you two. Like that's the whole point of this conversation. Fast forward to today, your kids are independent, famous in their own right, doing their thing. You supported them. And now you are you, right? Outside of being a mom. And this is what we talked about at dinner. And this is where you became vulnerable. You were like, I'm rediscovering who I am as Heidi, not just the label as mom. So I want to get into that because I think a lot of people go through what we call like an identity crisis, whether that's earlier postpartum or later on once your kids are out of the house. And it feels that like this identity you've been living for so long is like kind of ripped apart and you have to like rediscover who you are now, aside from this like mother title. So how has that process been for you? And what are you really working on now?
I think the way everything has played out, I mean, the way things were tracking prior to all this is girls were going to go off to college. Mark and I were thinking of moving somewhere where the winters weren't so harsh. Love a little more hot weather, being from Louisiana. And so we were thinking about that. And I feel like once this happened, and then everybody's quarantining, and so you have your kids who should be off doing high school stuff, college stuff. We're all together in lockdown. That's when we moved to LA. And there's work. There's like, we're working a lot. There's, shows on TV or movies weren't being filmed. So they were doing virtual stuff. So we were constantly busy. And there was never that time where they launched and now like we're empty nesters. It was like Dixie's launched, Charli's launched. It was never that. We were the opposite of that. Like everybody at the time, like your family's like this. So we tried to create those moments for them to gain that independence while not be able to leave the house. So Mark and I would do our own thing and then as life started opening up again, really pushing them to go and live their lives because we were together so much. It was slow going for me to get to the point where, okay, they are independent. They're financially independent. They have their own place. They have their own lives. But we're so connected in so many ways that I'm still very much mom because we're connected in business and social media and like how all that plays out online. So it really wasn't until I would say beginning of last year, which was 2024, I felt comfortable to shift into, okay, they're good. I didn't feel, and that wasn't them, it was me. And even in that time, I was more consulting. I was trying to be more consultant than mom, but always there. And Mark and I both, they know they can call us 24/7, like anytime, whatever it is, show up at the door. But I don't know, it was just a shift like, okay, I think it's my time now. And that's when I started, getting a little more strategic about my content and what is my message? What do I want to get out there? And so in the last year and a half, as I've been doing this, I still have moments of guilt of my thoughts about my kids. Like, do they feel like I'm separating myself from them? Or does the internet think that I just like am acting like I don't have kids, like all these things. And I just feel so bad about it. I don't know. I don't want to base my content off of my kids. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a hard sort of journey to figure out how do I be me? And I'm the mom of these young women that I don't want to disconnect from them, but I do want to shine on my own, but I don't want them to feel like I'm abandoning them. So I have this going on in my head all the time, and it's been really hard. And, I know when people approach us or Mark and I or just me for things, oh, can your daughter be in the video too? Like, I don't say no because I don't want them in the video. That's not the relationship I want with them. Like, I don't want them to feel like, oh, mom's not going to get that brand deal if I'm not in it. So I'll do it. I don't want that. And so it's been tricky. And so I get a lot of, well, never mind. It's kind of use me to get to them. And I get excited because I love creating content and I love working with brands. I feel like I'm always such a good brand partner. I always give more than it's asked for. And so I want those opportunities, but I don't want them to be dependent on if my kids are involved. So it's been hard. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think every day I just feel more comfortable in just sharing what I feel. And it's just based on me. And I believe that my kids know it's not an abandonment. Like, I think those are just thoughts in my own head.
I actually really love that because I think something that a lot of moms can find hard is that our goal as mothers is to raise kids so that eventually they become independent. They're not just mini people that are serving us, which is a lot of trauma that I see people post about online. And I think that's really respectable that you actually made it so that they you're there as guidance, but that they can be free to spread their wings and be on their own, but you'll always be there for them. And I think also this idea of, am I doing too much for my kids, not enough, brand deals, this, that, it's the same consistent theme of this mom guilt. Like even we feel in the newborn days and in the toddler years, and do I go back to work? Do I stay home? What will people think? Am I doing too much for my kids, or am I just a stay-at-home mom? So I think it's interesting how that kind of just theme just never leaves us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that has been my experience. But I do every single day when I do have those thoughts, I just have to sort of shift that thinking, because my kids have, anytime I've done anything, like I'll tackle big things. I have like their entire lives. They've seen me do like random different things, and they always like push me to it. Like, Mom, go do it. This is so good. Like, go live your life. Mark too, like, go Dad, like, go do it. So I know that in my brain, but I don't know, my heart feels like, oh, I don't know. So I struggle with it. And I struggle with, feeling when brands don't want me because my kids aren't in it, like, wow, I'm just not enough, or why can't they just want me? And, I have to remind myself, look, it's all business. And so I have a lot of conversations in my head, and with Mark, we just chat literally all day long. So he's super helpful in helping me get through those moments. And just, we talked about earlier, just slowing down the noise, quieting things, breathing. And then, okay, I got it. I got this. But it's definitely like some days I'm like, oh, my content sucks. I can see why brands don't want to work with me. And then other times I'm like, no, because I get messages of women, young women, any age, just thank you so much. Like, I feel like I'm not alone. Like, that's everything. So if that's one person, then I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
That's so beautiful. How did you go about finding like your voice on social media? Like who you are aside from your kids, aside from the noise, aside from what your family now represents? Like, because I think a lot of people out there are struggling to find like who they are aside from the title of mom.
I know I said it earlier, but I do take time to breathe, and it sounds so silly, but just, feet on the floor, just breathing and just slowing down, because when you quiet the noise, you can really like hear your heart and what, because I would get tripped up in, I thought this was the content I wanted to put out. And when I really sat with it after a while, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, but am I really sharing anything that somebody could connect with? Entertaining, being funny, whatever, that's one thing. And that's just fun. But something from the heart, I think, just speaks so much more to the audience and what I want to share and what I'm going through. And so this is happening in real time. Literally, as weeks go by, I feel like I'm knowing myself more. I'm sharing differently. And I feel like I'm not a great storyteller. So I'm trying to get better, because I have all these thoughts in my head. And when they come out, I'm like, that's terrible. And I didn't really get it like I wanted to. So I don't ever record myself. I'm like, that just wasn't meant to be out there. So I'll just, when I have another thought, and I used to be super structured, like spreadsheet, this is what this is what I'm going to post today, this, and hit all my brand pillars. Like those brand pillars I worked on in like March, they're out the window. I don't feel connected to those really much at all. And I just have to accept that change and know that the internet's attention span is so short. They already forgot that. So I'm literally figuring it out every day.
I love that though. That's the whole point. And I love also that you're not tying yourself to goals or brand ideas, guidelines that you had for yourself in the past, because as humans, we're meant to evolve. That's the whole point. So it's not going to feel authentic to you a year later, 6 months later, because you've changed and you've grown, and that's beautiful. So now you are doing a bunch of things. Okay. So we're doing content on social media. you have a popcorn company. You're also working with your husband, Mark. I think you mentioned on helping younger creators create products. Tell us like what you have going on. Where did these ideas even come from? What sparked them? And how we can also support.
Thank you. So our popcorn brand is called Be Happy Snacks, and we're in Walmart, and we just got into Costco.
That's amazing. I hear Costco's like if you get into Costco, like that's amazing.
It's interesting. They have regions, so we're not. It's a whole thing, but it's been an incredible partnership so far. So we're excited.
And what was the reason for this popcorn brand?
So the popcorn,
it's very good.
Walmart approached us about maybe working together, and they had this popcorn space that could use something different, and they wanted some interesting flavors. So we did a lot of taste testing and worked together with them, and we came up with some kind of outside of the box flavors, and then kind of regrouped, pared it down, and came out with a couple new ones. So we have birthday cake, which has been a huge hit, sweet and salty, white cheddar, and cotton candy.
That's which
is so fun. So it's just kind of getting people to try something new. I mean, people buy things, to have someone spend money on your product. We feel very good about the product and very confident. It's really good product. But I know I have things that I always get this, and changing is hard. So it's just getting people to make that change and just try it. Like when they try it, they love it. We hear that all the time. So it's just getting more people to try it, which has been fun for me on the creative side and content and all of that. That's been a fun thing, and collaborating and just getting more eyes on it and more thought in people's head of like, oh yeah, let me try that. So that's been super fun and a focus of ours. And then, Mark and I have been doing these. They're called creative. I just got braces. Sorry. Creator collectives. And it's just bringing young all ages really, creators together in a space that's not a party or around a brand launch. It's just to have conversations. And it's, a lot of these creators have millions and millions of followers, but they haven't been able to do something like own their own product or whatever. And so we bring in people to talk with the group that can really give them something to walk away with, or how can you shift what you're doing into something that you have ownership of. But the beautiful thing in these, when we have these creator collectives, is because we kind of go around the room and, what do you want to get out of these get-togethers? And everybody says, feeling so lonely in this, I guess, LA a little bit, but also, they're always around people that are doing the same thing that they're doing on social media, but they're not connecting in a real way and having these kind of conversations. So it's so nice to be a place to kind of take what we did with our family and open it up a little bit. And some of these young kids, like the parents are very supportive, but they don't know, and they're like working or doing their own thing. Like, I don't know how to help you figure it out, and it's hard. There's not a guidebook to social media and how to do it and what's the right thing, because there's so many variables. But it's been nice to sort of mentor and open our doors for these creators. And it's just been so like my heart is full, Mark too, when we have these and we just walk away from it like, okay, this might be part of our purpose for sure. So that's been really nice.
And how do they find out about you or vice versa? Like, do you seek them out or do they come to you?
So we're really good friends with, I call him a kid, he's an adult, but Markel Washington, and he's like family to us. And so I wanted to do this. And so he was the first person I reached out to. I was like, what do you think about this? He's like, I think it would be awesome. Like, there's really no place to have these kind of conversations. You're not having these at events. And I said, do you think people would come? So I have a few people that I knew that I'm a little closer with. And then he like wrangled in a bunch, and it was great. And everybody was making content and like having a good time. And it was just such good energy. And then like when's the next one? When's the next one? So this summer we haven't had quite as many because everybody's all over the place, but we're excited to like have another one, kind of regroup, get everybody together. But, at the end of the event, if everybody walks away feeling a little less lonely and maybe learned a little bit about the business, it's a win.
I love that. It feels very rewarding.
It is.
So in this new chapter of your life, let's call it that, do you find that you've had to kind of reinvent what success and fulfillment means to you? Do you feel like your definition of that has changed a bit?
I don't know. I think success to me, I can remember vividly being 4 years old, knowing all I wanted to be when I grew up was a mom.
Mm.
And so I'm successful. I wasn't the perfect mom and things were not always smooth, but I did everything I knew how to do to the best of my ability at the time. The beauty is in all the growth I've had. Dixie told me the other day, she was like, Mom, the growth you and Dad are having at your ages is not normal. People kind of like just live with what they know and they don't. She's like, you guys are like pushing your own boundaries. It's so incredible. I was like, oh, thank you.
I completely agree.
I mean, we feel it, but it was nice to, obviously she's so close to us. So she knows, she sees it. And just the conversations are deeper and better. And it's been incredible. So I think success is, if this was my last day on earth as to have the family that I've had and from babies and going through all the ups and downs, I think I'm very successful.
Honestly, that's going to make me cry.
That's amazing.
It's so true. It's truly like the whole point. I know that was a trend on social media, like the whole point, but like that's truly what the point of life is, to have these kids. What advice would you have for people right now who are going through identity shifts, identity crisis, identity evolutions, whether it's going viral or pivoting careers or just in a phase of transition and having a really hard time to get to the other side?
I feel like, find something that you love. I mean, I love lifting weights. That's my favorite thing to do. And when I am doing that, that's all that exists in my world. And I walk out of there and I'm like, oh, I can do anything. And it just gives you, like, I think when you find something you love, it just boosts your confidence and in who you are, like 10 toes down. This makes me happy. This is a part of me. And also not being stuck to what you think you're supposed to be, because I've done that 10 times in the last 5 years. I thought, okay, yeah, this is it. This is who I am. I laugh. I wrote a manifesto 2 years ago and I laugh at it. I'm like, who is that girl? 2 years. I've already written a second one and that one I'm already questioning. It's been a couple months. I'm like, oh my gosh. But to embrace that, like you're not supposed to do all the things and then you're there. Like the change is going to continue. Your relationships around you and, my parents passed and the dynamic of now my sisters and and it's just constant. And I think living to get to a place of like, that's going to be it. I think you're going to get there and be disappointed because it's about, and I've learned that. I feel like a lot of my mom journey when the kids were younger, I was like bellies full, sleeping good, food prep, get them to their things and then have fun, which we always had a good time. Mark's like always a good time. But I realize now, in those moments, I should have been having more fun. But I say that, but at the same time, like something I would do every night is I would draw a picture with colored Sharpies to put in their lunchbox every day. And it wasn't about, it was about them seeing it and like getting a kick out of it. But that was me taking that 10 minutes or whatever. I would go like detailed. And
I love that.
But like, I love drawing and coloring and just that was my joy. So although I say I was like kind of getting from one thing to the next, I did take those times to like, I'm going to do this. Everybody's sleeping. Let me like take the time to do this. Packing their lunches. I did find joy in that. Although it was structured, I'm learning about myself is I'm very structured, routine, get it done. Like just get it done. Get everybody situated. But there's the exact amount of other side of me that is like whimsical and fun. And like, I like to skip and watch cartoons and do all these things that I didn't think could live together.
Mm.
And I'm allowing the lighter side to be more present, because the other side, although it got me through times where maybe I didn't have the tools to do both at the same time, I just kind of did it and then save the fun for something separate. And I now know it could all live in one. And it's just makes me so happy. Like, it's just so much fun. Life is so beautiful. Literally, this is what matters. Connections, humans, creating something you love, finding everything, literally finding something you could be happy about in every moment, even in the dark moments. Like, there's always something. It could be tiny. So just give yourself some grace, lean into that playful side of you. I think everybody's so serious sometimes. And I'm saying this from experience, like, it's so much more fun when you lean into the fun side. Your kids are going to have more fun with you. But at the same time, like, I was very structured. I had rules, like, we got to get to bed. We got to do the things. But I think both can live together. And that's a good lesson, I think, for women as they're going through a shift, is to give yourself the time to like be a little more playful. It's so much more fun.
I love this, especially for moms, because I feel like we can all relate to just like day in, day out routine. Okay, bedtime, bath time, this, that, whatever. And that's most of our lives, like, or at least a big part of it. Mm-hmm. So kind of just taking a moment, and everyone tells you when you're in it, like, oh, you're going to miss these days. These are the good old days. But when you're in it, sometimes you don't see it, because all you see is like the stress of like getting into bed and the race to bath. So I think taking that pause and, like you said, like finding joy, whether it's a drawing or something that speaks to you. And also something I picked up from you and your message was this idea of just being authentically you, instead of whenever you try to be someone else, it doesn't work. You don't get the performance, you don't see the results. But when you lean into things that are truly you and you get quiet, that's when you can see the success and the fulfillment, and that it all comes naturally.
Yeah. I feel like I was never trying to be someone else, but I was realizing I shed that version of me. And so to allow the new version, I think I kind of fought that for a while, not even consciously. I think I was just like, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. I'm like, no, there's no rules. Like, everybody has free will. Like, you can make it whatever way you design your life, that's the way it's going to be. Whatever energy you put into whatever you're doing, that's what's going to shine. And I'm just so happy. I'm 53 and I figured it out. And I feel like I am not, it's so late for me to figure it out. No, I have so much life ahead of me. Even if it's not as long as I might think, whatever time that is way better than not having the way that I feel now. I'm so happy. I'm so fortunate to have people around me that just allow me to just be. And I think I do the same for them. So I feel the most myself today. Tomorrow I might be something a little bit differently, but I'm going to allow that.
Honestly, your energy is contagious. I feel so inspired right now. I feel very inspired. And Dale and I talk about this all the time, this like commitment to growth and evolution, and not tying ourselves to old narratives that maybe we told ourselves like in our past, or childhood narratives. It's like, you really seem like you're questioning them. You're like, no, actually, I don't have to do that. Or like, no, that's actually not me anymore. I'm going to create a new manifesto. Yeah. And I think that constant reminder to ourselves that life is so beautiful and so expansive, and we can, get newness and be expansive and do something new. We just have to let go of like past versions of ourselves or past things we're telling ourselves.
Absolutely. And I do think it's a shift for the people around you. And I never showed up and was like, this is what I'm doing now. I just shifted. And my family, my friends, the people around me, the shift was obvious but subtle. And it just, I don't know, the flow between my relationships was so great. When you make a shift, whether it's you're in therapy or you're taking time to meditate, whatever it is, you're going to see it affect the relationships around you. And if it's all coming from a really good, positive place with like good intentions, what you get back from that is just euphoria. It's everything. And it's been nice to feel those relationships just keep getting better and better. I think I had that thought in my life, like, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, you're going to do this, and then you're good. Like, that was such small thinking. I can't even imagine that. No, it's so big. It's so much more.
We always say, though, like, we're limited by the past versions of ourselves because our minds didn't understand how much could happen, right? So if we stay small and stay in that limitation, or even dream from the 20-year ago Heidi, she wouldn't have known what she could do now. So now you're not limited anymore, and you're dreaming from this place of more expansiveness. And I really do think as moms, and yes, we have so much on our plate, and yes, there's a lot of chaos and all that, but honestly, your reminder to just like be playful and have fun and enjoy it is so important. I think especially for the season that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
This was so amazing.
So
Heidi.
nice.
Thank you.
Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone support you?
I'm at Heidi D'Amelio on all the platforms. I do a lot on Snapchat. I know I feel like people are my age. Sorry. Don't really talk about that as much, but I do a lot on Snap. But on all the platforms, I'm always doing something. I don't even know what's next, honestly. People are like, what's next for you? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out.
We're going to stay tuned to watch.
Maybe we'll have part 2.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. But I have some goals, so I'm working towards those. I'm not going to share them, but popcorns at Walmart, coming soon to Costco. Mark and I, we're going to just start doing more together. I feel like he's been doing his thing. I've been doing my thing. And when we do content together, the joy of that, the way we laugh, it just reminds us of the beginning of TikTok when it was just free and fun and for nothing. And that feels really fun. So we like to share that in our lives. So I'm excited about that.
I feel like we need a podcast episode with you and Mark to teach us all about parenting together, relationships.
The thing is, people are like, oh, you have older kids. What do I need to know? It's just knowing yourself and knowing your partner. And one thing Mark and I have done that I'm so proud of us is the way that we never talk poorly about each other. Like if I'm out with my girlfriends, like I'm not talking like, oh, Mark this or that. Even if it's just venting, I just don't do that. And he doesn't do that. And so I think when you know without a doubt your partner has your back, whether you're around or not, is such a secure feeling of like someone who really cares. And I just think it's a maybe unpopular opinion. I do think it's creates a space in your mind for this negative sort of thinking about the person you're with, that if there's something there that's causing that, you need to have a conversation about that. And you got to heal that. Because yes, venting to your girlfriend's lighthearted fun, but like sometimes I've heard it myself firsthand. I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. That needs you guys need to talk about that. And it's hard. So it's been a roller coaster, but I feel like that's been something that's kept us like really connected and aligned, is just being really nice to each other.
I also feel
That's
like
amazing.
because you have such a safe, secure relationship, you're able to take more risks in your personal life and to explore new sides of you because you feel so grounded at home.
Yeah, I do feel that 100%. I think we're both very lucky, but it's been a roller coaster.
I'm excited to meet him tomorrow. We're going for dinner.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. But thank you so much, Heidi.
Thank you
was
so
amazing.
much. This is amazing. We could have talked for hours.
I know.
Yeah.
But thank you guys all for tuning in.
Thank you.